Hi class, it is time for me to read some more of my favorite books. So we're going to start off with Those Darn Squirrels. And this was written by Adam Rubin and illustrated by Daniel Slomiri. And you might recognize these little squirrels because they are on our sight word tree in the classroom. So, those darn squirrels. As we're reading, think about what's happening in the beginning, middle, and end, like we've been doing for a little while. Here's the title page. Look at their tails. On the outskirts of town, at the edge of the forest, there was a little old house. The only thing older than the little old house was the man who lived in it, Old Man Fookwire. Old Man Fookwire was so old that when he sneezed, dust came out. He was also a grump. He hated pie. He hated puppies. The only thing he liked was birds. All summer long, the old man painted pictures of the birds that visited his backyard. There were whirlybirds and bongabirds, bababirds and yabbabirds. Even a rare flugelbird came by once or twice. Fookwire's paintings weren't very good, but the birds never said anything. When the air turned crisp and the leaves began to change color, the old man grew sad. He knew that soon the birds would fly south for the winter, as they did every year, and that he would be lonely. Then he had an idea. If he fed the birds, maybe they would stick around. So Old Man Fookwire built beautiful bird feeders and put them up all around his backyard. He filled the feeders with delicious seeds and berries, and soon birds came from all over the forest just to eat in the old man's yard. It worked. So in the beginning of the story, Old Man Fookwire built bird feeders to keep the birds close by instead of migrating south for the winter. But the birds weren't the only ones who liked the bird feeders. The squirrels did too. Not many people know this, but squirrels are the cleverest of all the woodland creatures. In fact, they're fuzzy little geniuses. They can make a house out of a tree, a bed out of a bunch of leaves, and a box kite out of twigs, dirt, and squirrel spit. They are also excellent at math. Do you believe this? I think this story might be fiction. Winter was fast approaching, and the squirrels needed to gather as much food as they could to get ready. So they decided to take some of the bird food. Is Old Man Fookwire gonna like that? Look at his arms. The birds were not happy, neither was Old Man Fookwire. When he discovered what had happened, he shook his old man fist and yelled, "Those darn squirrels!" He filled up the feeders again, but this time he hung them from a clothesline. Then he went back inside, confident that the squirrels would no longer be able to get the seeds and berries. Is it gonna work? Squirrels are pretty smart. But the squirrels were determined. They devised a plan, and this time they took all the food from the bird feeders. Check out their plan. The birds were furious. Oh, remember, furious means really mad. "Harumph, harumph, harumph," yelled a bongabird. "Those darn squirrels," yelled Old Man Fookwire. "Yum," said the squirrels. Oh, look at their big bellies. Now it was Old Man Fookwire's turn to devise a plan. He went to the general store to get supplies. He bought lasers and clamps. He bought wires and springs. He bought all sorts of tools and built a veritable fortress around his bird feeders. Then he refilled them very carefully. "Na, na, 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 na," snorted the flugelbird. Oh, look at that plan. Are the squirrels going to figure out a way to get the food? So in the middle of the story, Old Man Fookwire invented new ways to trap the squirrels, to trick them. And the squirrels kept trying to steal their food. The squirrels stayed up all night working out their strategy. They drank cherry cola and ate salt and vinegar chips to help them stay awake. Finally, they had it, the perfect plan. They put on their tiny helmets and prepared to launch themselves into the air, over the fence, between the lasers, and onto the bird feeders. What do you think? Is this going to work? The first squirrel misfired and hit a tree. The second squirrel went too high and landed in a bucket. The third squirrel sailed clear over the house. The birds laughed and laughed. They each had one last delicious mouthful of seeds and berries from the old man's feeders. Then they flew south for the winter, just as they did every year, said the flugelbird. After the birds left, Old Man Fookwire was lonely, just as he was every year. He fixed himself some cottage cheese and pepper, his favorite snack, but he was still lonely. When he looked out the window, the squirrels could tell that he wasn't happy. "Go away," shouted the old man. "I don't like you squirrels." So in the middle of the story, the birds also flew away, and the old man was lonely. Let's see how it ends. The squirrels held a meeting deep inside a large tree. They decided to give the old man a present to make up for taking the seeds and berries. Squirrel meeting tonight. Now, not many people know this, but squirrels are not only fuzzy little geniuses, they also collect just about anything they find in the ground. These squirrels had a vast stockpile of spectacular junk to choose from. But what would Fookwire like? Bottle caps? Popsicle sticks? Postage stamps? Finally, they had it, the perfect gift. The squirrels stacked all of their loose change on the old man Fookwire's doorstep. There were dimes and pennies, there were nickels and quarters, there were even a few tokens from Coco's arcade. It all added up to $47.36, plus a few rounds of skee-ball. "Maybe you squirrels aren't so bad," Fookwire said when he found the coins, "but I still like birds better." This gave the squirrels another idea. They raided their junk collection again and got to work. Look at his surprise face. When Old Man Fookwire woke up the next morning, he was amazed to see that the birds had returned. Oh, I wonder how the birds came back. But wait, those things weren't birds, they were squirrels in disguise. "Great googly moogly," said Old Man Fookwire. "This will make quite a painting." He ran outside and took down the lasers and the wires and the spring-loaded trapeze. He turned all the bird feeders into squirrel feeders. Then he painted till his brush ran out of bristles. Look at those squirrel birds. The squirrels were so overjoyed they had a party in Old Man Fookwire's house. "Those darn squirrels," said Mr. Fookwire, and he shook his old man fist and smiled. You think he likes the squirrels? So in the end of the story, those squirrels dressed up like birds and also made Old Man Fookwire happy. So I want you to think about the beginning, the middle, the end. Who are the characters? What was the setting of the story? Pick one of those things to share with me in drawings or writing, and the microphone. I can't wait to hear. And give me a thumbs up if you also liked that book. There's 2 more.